Alright, so first up here, I have a Banter. I bought this when Ben Banter decided to release these scales, which I thought were really cool. I didn't have a Banter to put these on, so I had to order both. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and install these scales, as well as open up this box and talk about the knife itself. As I mentioned, I was sick and moving, so I was out for a while. And with that being said, I've opened up some of these boxes already because I honestly just couldn't handle having them sit around for so many months without opening them up and just kind of seeing how they are. I haven't actually used any of the knives. They're all still new in the packaging. I've just sort of opened them up, checked them out a bit, and put them back away, sort of to get that itch out of the way, because I mean, I'm not sure anybody who could order a knife and then just let it sit in the box without opening it for as long as I've had these. So again, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get into this. We're gonna open it up, show you what you get. It's pretty standard knife packaging here. They give you the case. I've got several of these now at this point. So let's go ahead and open this up. I still got all the original packaging here for you guys, but they give you 2 slaps, which is pretty cool. You got the Banter, and then I'm actually not sure what this one's called. This is another knife though. Looks like this is not a sticker. Put that off to the side. Some care instructions. This is the microfiber cloth. Got a few of these now. I think they all come in this same color. So I'll put that off to the side as well. And then here's the actual knife. If I can get it. There it is. So here's the knife, and I actually was pleasantly surprised with this guy. I wasn't expecting too much because even on the website itself, the description says the Banter is an EDC knife designed to be low profile and avoid screaming, "Look at me," when you pull it out. But I feel like that's kind of underselling it. I did think this was a pretty cool knife when I opened it up. It's got this kind of a squarish, or I should say rectangulish shape to it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, in terms of how long it is, it seems to be a thicker knife this way. But I went ahead and got the gray scales, even though I'm going to be taking them off, and that's just because the color of everything else that it comes with. I wanted the, I saw in the ad for the scales, they showed it with a black coated blade, I believe it was, but I just thought it would look better with a silver there, silver in color. This is a S35 VN steel, which is super sharp. I've already kind of checked it out, like I said before, just briefly, but I did open it up and check it out before. One thing I will say about this knife is it fires hard. I mean, for something that's just got a thumb stud and not a flipper or anything, when you get your thumb under there, it shoots out with some force there, which I really like. One thing I will say that I don't particularly care for is just how tough it is to get this frame lock out of the way. I mean, it is nice because you have a lot of retention there in terms of like the blade not moving on you, but I feel like this is one of those knives that if you were to play with it a lot and keep opening and closing it, this frame lock here is just going to start digging into your thumb, your skin there. And I apologize, I've been calling it a frame lock. It's a liner lock, but yeah, so this liner lock here, it's got some jimping on it, as you can see there, which is nice because you really get a good feel for it, but it does sort of dig into your skin when you push over, as you can see there on my thumb. But I mean, that's kind of a positive and a negative, because like I said, it does give you like a good lockup, but I could see if you are one of those guys that just likes to fidget with your knife, that this will start to irritate you a bit. So let me go ahead and compare this size-wise next to something like a bug out. So here's a bug out next to it. As you can see, the bug out is longer and a little skinnier this way. And then another even larger knife to compare to is my Paramilitary 2. Of course, that one's towering over it in terms of size. But if you see, this one is sort of the medium size, but it's the skinniest. Now, it is a bug out, so it's meant to be smaller, I guess. But just to give you an idea of what I mean by this being like a shorter knife, but pretty thick in the handle. It does feel nice. Feels good in the hand. It does have some jimping here, but I feel like it's kind of too far back, if you will. I kind of wish the jimping was up here, because if I was doing any kind of like real slicing or anything, I feel like I would want that a little bit higher up, which is not, you know, a terrible thing, but I mean, that's just personal preference. The edges of this blade, these are a little bit sharp. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's gonna cut you or anything, but they're not like rounded off edges. I mean, this isn't like a super expensive knife. Let me double check the price on this guy. It's been a while since I ordered it. It looks like right now on the NAF's website, they're coming in at $108.80. And for something with the blade material S35 VN, and you know, the build quality of this guy, I'd say it's a really good deal, coming in cheaper than something like a bug out, which is sort of a fan favorite. But I'll go ahead and move these out of the way, and I'll get into some of the specifications on this. Let me pull it up on my phone here. So the blade length on this one is going to be 2.9 inches. The overall length is 6.5 inches. The closed length is advertised at 3.6 inches. So again, it's a pretty small knife. I mean, I've got medium large hands, and I could almost hide it here in my grip. But it doesn't really like take away from the feeling in your hand when you open it up. I mean, it does feel large enough. It doesn't really feel like a small knife. It's more of like a small medium, if you will. It definitely feels like something you could use. It doesn't feel like a knife that's too small and making you feel like you might want some more knife as a user. I mean, I could really see somebody using this as sort of an everyday use kind of knife, which is nice. It's got a drop point blade shape, flat grind here, liner lock. It's got a deep carry clip, as you can see, which is really nice. It's very, very strong. I mean, I could hardly get my thumb under there at all. So the retention on that is significant. I mean, you go ahead and put that in your pocket, and I do not imagine that sliding out on accident at all. It's going to be a very intentional thing when you go ahead and unclip this from your jeans or your shorts or whatever it is you like to wear. It does have a lanyard hole if you're into that sort of thing, which I tend to be. I wasn't, you know, when I first started my EDC journey, I guess you could say, but as time goes on, I tend to realize that I enjoy this, and I think that's just because I can buy different beads and that sort of thing, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of cool makers out there for that. So that's kind of nice little bonus, because, you know, you can use it, you can leave it. It's not really an issue being there. I don't think it takes away from anything aesthetically. This pocket clip is, let's see, not adjustable at all. It's just right here, tip up right side. It says it's stainless steel. The thumb stud is made of titanium. This guy comes in with the G10 scales. Now, I believe they did make some micarta here earlier this year, which, you know, I'm a fan of micarta, but like I said, I'm not going to be using these scales anyway. I'm going to be swapping these out for these in this video. So with all of that being said, I believe that's kind of everything I want to cover before making the changeover of the scales. It doesn't feel too heavy though. It feels good for something that looks kind of chunky. Feels good in the hand. I think they did a really good job with like weight distribution and that sort of thing. This pocket clip doesn't get in the way at all when you're holding it. It doesn't feel like intrusive or anything in your hand. It doesn't feel like it's kind of bugging me, even if I were to have to use this sort of like all day long. The only thing I would say that really bothers me about the knife would be, like I said, this liner lock, just how tough it is, and you know, maybe it'll kind of break in with time and it wouldn't bother me so much. One huge positive, like I had mentioned earlier, was just how snappy it is. I mean, my goodness. It really launches in your hand, which makes me happy. I mean, it makes me feel like that's sort of the one thing about this knife that I really enjoy is just the action, the way it opens up. And I'm not sure if that's on ball bearings. It might be. I'll have to look that up online here. 1 second, let me check. Yes, so it does have ceramic ball bearings, which gives you more pleasing action. That's probably why this thing fires so hard. It's not running on copper washers. So yeah, I mean, overall I'd say this is a pretty sweet knife. I'll probably be carrying it a lot here. I like to mix up the rotation here on my EDC carry. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and pull out the tools and switch out the scales. Now, I do believe these scales are sold out, but I just figured I'd feature them on here anyway. I should have made the video sooner, but being sick with COVID and then moving, it just really messed with my whole recording system that I had going on. So it did come with this cool Ranger eye. See if it'll focus. Yeah, there it goes. So it did come with this, which is pretty sweet. I'll be adding that to my EDC bag that I have. Pretty cool. And then it does come with a certificate of authenticity. WE Banter scales. This is number 98 of 300. Released in September. So pretty cool. It tells you who the designer was, where they were manufactured, printed, and yeah, so pretty cool. Let's go ahead and start removing these scales. I didn't watch a video or anything on this, but I mean, removing scales is pretty standard across the board. I mean, the only big variation is depending on what kind of lock type you've got. So I'm not too concerned that I'll mess anything up. Let's go ahead and pop these off. Looks like they did use a good amount of blue Loctite on there, but they are coming off smoothly. I mean, I'm not having an issue taking these off here. Looks like I'm gonna have to downsize for the clip screws. This is probably it here. I don't have like a really fancy screwdriver setup or anything. These do the trick. This is a Craftsman set that I picked up from, I think it was Lowe's. Now these are on good. These are on better than the actual body screws were. It's kind of stuck in there. There it goes. So that one's on there so tight that I've actually stripped out my bit here. So let me go ahead and find my other set of screws, screwdriver, and I'll be right back. All right, so this screws in so good that it actually stripped out my screwdriver. Like I said, I don't have an expensive one, so I guess the lesson here is to buy more quality bits and that sort of thing. But I can go ahead and finish the video without it. I couldn't find the other screwdriver set. I think it might be at the old apartment still. We're still kind of in between moving right now, but luckily I got out the top one, which is the one that allows me to take off the scales. So I'll just have to add the clip on later on my own. But let's go ahead and take off the pivot screw and keep this video going. So there goes the pivot screw. One of the ceramic ball bearings just came out. Oh, the whole thing's falling apart. So we got a spacer here. There goes one of the scales. Wonder if you have to take that part off. There's sort of like a metal plate in there. Almost wondering if you need to take that out, but I guess I'll find out soon. Here is the blade. The other washer or set of bearings there, I guess. So here's the blade. I'll set that off to the side. The other back spacer. Take out this frame. Oh, I guess I can't. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to end this video, come back later because that screw does need to come out and I'm unable to get it off. So, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the camera, put all this stuff away. When I get a chance to get to the old apartment and get the other screwdriver set, I'll finish this up. All right, so it's been a few days since I last tried putting together this Banter. Last I was on here, I stripped out my Torx bit and I couldn't find my other set, so I just had to go to Lowe's, buy a new set. So probably better if I just use scissors on this. But yeah, it's ironic. I replaced a cheap set with another cheap set. I'm gonna have to eventually bite the bullet and order a better set of hardware here, because these just don't really do the job when you have some good Loctite on there. But this should do it, hopefully. Just trying not to delay this video any further. So here we go. Let's open this back up. I've just got like a whole bag of these parts and the blade separated there. So here we go. New scales, old scales. This is the one that was stripping out my screwdriver. Never bought this one. I've had Craftsman stuff before and it didn't work so good, but I'm getting a phone call here. All right, let's see, how do I open this? I assume I just pull these apart. There it goes. All right, and I don't even know what size this is. I'm gonna have to just do the old trial and error. See which one fits. Hey, look, first try, gotta love it. All right, I think the last Craftsman one I had was like a ratcheting style, and that didn't work out too well. It just broke the ratchet, but let's see. Boom, there we go. Broke it loose. Awesome. Love it. Okay, so there's the clip. You can see there's definitely some Loctite on there, so that's what had it in there so good. There's a lot of Loctite throughout these bolts, which is nice to know. For anybody that buys one of these Banters, you'll know you're not going to have an issue of the bolts just coming apart on you. So I'm going to take out this liner. Here's the old scale. I'm not sure if I need to take this one out. I'm assuming I do. Yeah. So let's see, how can I get this out without damaging anything? If you hear that crunching, it's my dog eating over there. Sorry about that. Yeah, and this is not good practice to use your bits to take this out, so find something else, but there's that. I like how they use this authentic looking Wii strap. I'm gonna take that off so I can separate the scales. It came together like that in the package. So we'll pull that off here. Separate these scales, insert these pieces where they were on the old scales. And get going from there. So I guess I'm just gonna put the clip on first, or I guess I should just do that last, huh? Just do that last. I think it was this tiny one and probably one of these longer ones. These look like they're all the same, because I think one of those clip screws was actually doubling up as a body screw. So these all look similar, but this one here, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's a little bit different. It's got more of a flat surface on the top where these other ones are rounded, and that's gonna match the other clip screw. So I'm gonna assume those go together. If you know, put it together, if it doesn't sit right, obviously that's not the case, but I'm sure that's just how it was meant to be. So looks like this piece goes here in that spot. We've got our, sorry, this would be a little easier had I not had such a big gap in disassembling and assembling this knife. So I'm kind of just going off of memory. I didn't watch the video that I had pre-recorded earlier to see where everything went, because I'm pretty sure I could figure this out. It's not really rocket science. You got two back spacers, you got this little metal dowel, your bearings, and these are body screws. So I'll go ahead and let's see, where should I start? Guess I'll put some the spacers. I think they go here. Put the spacers in, that way I can lock this frame down on there. Oh, just dropped a screw. Let's see which size that is. I'm not sure if that's the same size as this or not. Nope. A little bit larger. So let's see. Likely this one here. Yeah, that feels right. So go ahead and slide that in. Pop this bolt in here. Tighten it up, if I can line it up here. Doesn't need to be super tight. I'm just getting it started to hold my liner in place, hold the back spacer in place, put the other back spacer on, do the same thing. Well, actually, so this back spacer is gonna be the one that has the clip screw, you can see there. So I'm actually gonna attach this one to this side, which will help me hold this part of the frame in. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, doesn't need to be too tight, just tight enough to hold the piece in. This one here just pops inside, and I believe that's where the dowel goes. Looks like it fits. There it is. So I got one more body screw left, two clip screws, one of them doubles as a body screw. We got the pivot screws and our bearings. So from here, let's see. From here, all right, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my back side of this pivot screw down and slide it in here to the back scale. And then from there, I'm gonna go ahead and put on one of the ball bearings right on top of that screw. I'm gonna place the blade down on top. It's all going to fit kind of loosely for now, but it'll tighten up as we put the other side of this pivot screw on. So this dowel is going to go right here in this hole. Try to keep everything sort of in place there while we do this. Now we're going to put the other ball bearing inside this cutout in the blade. We're going to make sure this part of our frame is inserted and stays in place. You want to line up this little hole here with the dowel. So it's kind of tough because you can't see. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and place it on the dowel like that. And then place this section of the hole over top. That should help me line it up. And then we're going to put these spacers where they belong on here. It should help put everything where it needs to be. Alright, so from here, we're going to make sure that the cutout, which I don't know if you'll be able to see that there, but the recessed section of this is going to line up with this little tab that you see on the scale. That's just going to ensure that the logo is nice and straightened out and it's not all wonky there. So it is going to be kind of tough to get this to go in just because all of our parts are kind of loosely together, but basically we want to make sure all of this goes through. Your ball bearings are still in place and all that. This is the tough part for sure. Just trying to keep everything together. It might help if I try to put the blade down, I'm not sure. Close the blade. Yep, that worked. Alright, so I guess closing the blade helps maybe a little bit. But this is not perfectly lined up, as you can see, so I'm going to have to try to back that out a little bit and straighten it. Which is harder than it sounds. I want to make sure that sits flush inside of this while keeping all of our stuff together. So I think that should be good. I'm going to put the other side of this pivot screw in. Maybe that'll help seat that bolt on the other side. But I'm going to have to put this last body screw in too. It's going to go right here. Oh, wrong size. Here it is. If it's not lining up properly, what you do not want to do is just start torquing down on it. Which is seeming like what I'm doing here. So something's not perfectly lined up. I'm going to try opening up this blade. See if that helps at all. There we go. Alright, so opening up the blade helped line that up. So now that's seated. Man, that was more challenging than I expected. Not difficult in like a how-to kind of way, but just difficult in getting that all to line up just right. But from here, it should just be putting on the clip. One of those screws is doubled as a body screw as well as the clip screw, so I'm just going to start with that one. That's going to be the longer of the two that are left available. Let's see what size that is. There it is. Thankfully these are magnetic, so I can kind of thread that through that hole. Get it started here. Grab this last one, last clip screw. Slide it in there. Now it's just tightening everything up, making sure the knife functions as it's intended. But it's looking good so far. Tighten this down. I'm not going to over tighten it just yet, while I don't know if it's functioning properly. But here we go. Tighten these down a bit more than I did before. Oh, sounds good. It's opening and closing as it's supposed to. I'm going to go ahead and put on the lanyard. And voila, there it is. The Wii Banter with the Wii scales on it. This is what it looks like all put together. I like it. I've been excited to make this video so I can start carrying this knife around. Kind of wipe this down so I can show you guys what it looks like. But here it is with the scales installed. See, we've got this logo lined up just right. Got everything put back together. I've done several scale swaps before on different knives, and I gotta say this is probably one of the most difficult ones in terms of just lining everything up properly. If I were to give it a scale of 1 out of 10 of difficulty, I'd probably give this like, you know, with 1 being the easiest, 10 being the hardest, I'd probably give this like a 7. I mean, it's not over complicated. It's just the way they have this pivot bolt with a notch, lining that up just right, and making sure that your spacers are in there properly. Was definitely the most challenging part. Aside from that, I mean, it's pretty easy. You see this thing's firing off like it's supposed to, so I know I've done it correctly. Gotta say, I think it looks good. I think these scales are pretty cool. I am a gamer myself. I love Nintendo. I don't have like a Wii anymore. That's pretty old technology at this point, but yeah, I just thought it was cool when I saw the scales for sale, when I saw the drop that Ben had announced online. I just knew, hey, I guess it's about time that I go ahead and get myself a Banter. And I gotta say, I'm not disappointed. This thing is pretty cool. I really like the action on this. The way it just fires open like that. I'd say the only downside to this thing is this frame lock just seems like it's a little bit difficult, I guess. A little more rough on your finger. But aside from that, super cool knife. I'm excited that I got to do this video. I'm excited to carry it around. And I hope you liked the video. I hope you enjoy watching content like this. If you do, consider subscribing. And thanks for sticking around.